The case of Plessy versus Ferguson. On the fateful day of June 7, 1892, Homer Plessy bought a first-class ticket for a train on the East Louisiana Railroad. Because he was only 1/8 African American and looked white, he decided to take a seat in a compartment marked specifically for white people. While the railroad company was not allowed to discriminate on the basis of race, a newly developed Jim Crow law called the Separate Car Act allowed trains to create separate but equal compartments for blacks and whites. Confronted by the conductor of the train, Plessy was asked to vacate his seat and move to another compartment. After refusing to leave his seat and move to a Jim Crow compartment, Plessy was then escorted off the train by a police officer and sent to jail for going against the Jim Crow law.
The court case of Plessy v. Ferguson raised several important questions that needed to be answered by the court. Were Plessy's 13th and 14th Amendment rights violated? Was Louisiana's law infringing on the privileges and immunities provided by the 14th Amendment?
4 years later, in 1896, the Supreme Court voted 7-2 in favor of Ferguson. They claimed that the state law simply created legal distinction between the two races and did not infringe the privileges and rights granted by the 13th Amendment. They also stated that the 14th supported the idea that equality can only be attained by separating the two races.
Because of the case, discrimination became a common theme in the United States. It could be seen in schools, restrooms, and even in the United States Army. Even though laws stated that facilities had to be equal, facilities for African Americans were often unequal compared to white facilities. Ultimately, the Supreme Court's decision is what led segregation to become a prevalent theme throughout the 20th century. Historic cases like Brown v. Board of Education took place to fight against segregation that was imposed by Plessy v. Ferguson.
After decades of fighting for equal rights for race, written rules regarding segregation no longer exist.